Okay. Welcome to the February 28th City Council meeting. Please stand and salute the flag.
Roll call of the members. Councillor Cogliandro.
Here.
Here. Councillor Fiore. Here. Councillor Keefe.
Here.
Here. Councillor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councillor Morbido.
Here.
Here. Councillor Novoselsky.
Here.
Here. Councillor Rizzo.
Here.
Here. Councillor Rotundo.
Present.
Here. Councillor Sereno.
Here.
Here. Councillor Silvestri.
Here.
Here. And Council President Visconti.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the regular meeting of February 7th.
So move. Before we begin, I'd like to, Councilor Sereno has a point of personal privilege. Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. President, and through you to the members of the council and to the community. A couple of weeks ago, a beloved member of our community passed away after a brave and courageous fight with cancer. John T. DeLegro, who many of us knew, he was only 49 years old. He was a small business owner. He operated John's service station in Linden Square right over the line in Malden with his dad. And just a really genuinely good human being, really kind guy. And he will be missed by all of the city of Revere. It was incredible at his wake to see the tribute of people that came out for him. So on behalf of Councilor Rizzo and myself, we'd like to offer a moment of silence for this Ward 6 family. Thank you. Thank you.
Calendar item number 3. This is a motion presented by Councillor McKenna that the City Council issue a certificate of appreciation to Hennessy Gomez, property manager of Broadway Towers. Hennessy has been a wonderful asset to the residents of Revere by assisting fire victims and those in need by providing housing at reasonable rates.
Come on up, Hennessy. So I just would like to say that I've never met Hennessy until tonight. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what happened. Last May, we had six houses that caught on fire on Endicott Ave. We had 9 families displaced. They lost everything. I get a call from a woman, Hennessy. She's the property manager of 250 Broadway Towers. And she said, I would love to assist you. Do you need any assistance for these families that lost everything? I said, oh my God, yes. So I reached out to all the families, and we did have one family that took advantage of her kindness. She offered reasonable rent to this family, and the family really needed this because they lost everything. So going forward now, I've had people call me and say, you know, I really need an apartment and I really need it reasonable because everybody knows the rents are so expensive. So I'd call Hennessy again, and Hennessy would say, sure, I've got 2-bedroom apartment for this price, 1-bedroom apartment, just have them come down and see me. So she's been an angel to me, because when you're a counselor and people reach out to you in need and you don't know where to go, she's the person that I've been going to. So I just want to thank her for her kindness. Every time I call her, she's a blessing. And I would like to read a citation to you, Hennessy, because you've been so wonderful. to me and the people of Revere. Excuse me for a minute. City of Revere, Massachusetts certification of appreciation, an acknowledgement and recognition of her compassion and her strong sense of community. Special recognition is hereby accorded to Hennessy Gomez. Did we spell it right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Property manager, Broadway Towers. In Hennessy's capacity as a property manager for Broadway Towers, 250 Broadway, Revere, Massachusetts, she has provided rental relief and reasonable rates for residents who are in need or for residents who have been displaced due to fire. Hennessy is an asset to the city of Revere, and her work does not go unnoticed. This certificate of appreciation is presented by the City Council, the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of its citizens this 28th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2022, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 245th. Congratulations, and thank you so much. Can we take a picture? Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you to the City of Revere. I've been here for 4 years. I've been with my company for 11 years, but it has been definitely very different. It's a city, so I wasn't used to a city environment. I will tell you that I've learned and I've humbled myself to learn a lot of the needs of people. And in your position, you tend to just collect rents, evict people, things like that. So this year, our site has collected $180,000 worth of rental assistance in just a 92-unit community, keeping people. I have not evicted not one person during this COVID. So I am thankful to have met Ms. McKenna. She has given me the opportunity to look at my job role deeper than just collecting rents and a resident a service coordinator. It's getting personal with the person to the point where you have a professional respect, but at the same time, assist in any means possible. If I can't assist, my company has over 3,500 units, and we will figure it out. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Councilor Morabito would like to take a moment of point of personal privilege.
Just want to say over the last month has been a difficult time for me and my family. I have lost my grandmother and my sister unexpectedly. Thank you to everyone for your kind words, the thoughtful cards, and your offer to help me and my family. The kindness, the friendship, and love that everyone has shown has brought much comfort to me and my family during this time when we needed it the most and while we were grieving. So I want to thank everyone. You guys really were there, the entire community, and I can't even thank you enough and how much it meant. And I apologize for getting so emotional, but it was one of the most difficult experiences in my life. And I want to thank all of you for being there.
If my colleagues would allow it, if I could take just a moment, a point of personal privilege. On behalf of the Revere City Council, I'd like to present a surprise birthday citation to Councilor Novoselsky in recognition of his milestone 75th birthday. Congratulations. What I'd like to do is read the citation in acknowledgement and recognition of your milestone 75th birthday to be celebrated on Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. Special recognition is hereby accorded to Ira Novoselsky, the City Council, Ward 2 City Councilor, the City Council of the City of Revere office. Its sincerest congratulations to its most senior member of the Revere City Council and sends its best wishes for continued health, happiness, and good fortune. Mazel tov. All right? What is that? Tov. Okay. Sorry.
Not bad for an Italian, Jerry, not bad.
All right, I'm Italian. I'm not cool. All right. The citation is presented by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of its citizens this 28th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2022, in the independence of the United States of America, the 245th. Signed by Ashley Melnick and City Council President Jerry Visconti. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
Just slide it. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you. Many more. Go ahead.
Thank you. Unaccustomed I am to public speaking. Big surprise, I didn't expect this on my 75th. I expected it on my 100th, like we do with my mom. But I thank everybody, and just let everybody know, I'm not 75, I'm only 25. 25 years away from 100. So I thank you very much, and yeah, I want to thank my family, by the way, for asking this to be done. You know, my friend Nancy Goldstein and my wife Shelley and my son Seth and my grandchildren and my daughter-in-law. So thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you.
And one more, although he's a ways off from his 75th birthday, I also just would like to mention that it was Councilor Keefe's birthday this week. So happy birthday. He's not 75 yet. He's about 30 years away. All right, so 32. All right, well, happy birthday. Back to business.
Calendar item number 4, public hearings. Hearing called is ordered on an ordinance amending the time requirements for the placement of trash for curbside collection.
Proponents. Those in favor? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Let's close that side. Any opponents? Those against? Hearing and seeing none. Let's close that side. City councilors. Council Rizzo.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This was basically to allow people to put their trash out an hour early. As the weather gets darker earlier, it would give people, particularly people that are seniors, people that may have disabilities, people that have a little more of a difficulty moving around, particularly at night. And then you factor in the inclement weather and all the other things that come with the period of time I was looking at. But when I presented this motion a few weeks back, Councilman Novoselsky actually, he said, why don't we just see if we can move it, all the time instead of just certain months, which might make more sense because you know, now people don't say, oh, what month is it? And, you know, can I put it out at 4 or 5? So if there's a way to amend this, I don't know, Madam Clerk, if we can amend it to just change the hours that you can put the trash out, into, you know, from 5 to 4, I think that would essentially solve the same problem and make it less, complicated for people in general. So if we could just let them, you know, 1 hour, I don't think is going to make a huge difference. A lot of people get home at that time, you know, and so this way here, it'll eliminate the potential for fines and all that stuff. So pretty easy motion. Hopefully there's no resistance to it. Thank you, Mr. President.
This is, any other councilors wishing to speak on this? Hearing and seeing none, this is going to get referred to Public Works on March 14th.
Calendar item number 5, hearing called as ordered on an amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Revere relative to drain layers.
Are there any proponents? Those in favor? Hearing and seeing none, let's close that. Counselor.
Anthony Zambuto,
Counselor
87
Zambuto,
High
welcome.
Street. Thank you. I wasn't going to speak on this, but seeing I'm certainly in favor of this, and we know for many years, we're the only city in the state that does this, and it's come time that we don't do this anymore. So I wasn't the sponsor of this, but I'm happy to be the only proponent for it, because I think it's, you know, it's come time that we don't do this anymore. Thank you.
Any other proponents? Name and address? Welcome, Joe.
City of Revere, Assistant Superintendent, Water and Sewer. I think it's time for this also, because we are the people that have to work with these drain layers. And I thought this a long time ago also, because we're the ones that should be calling up, checking on their work reputations. And I really feel that it should be us interviewing these people and at least have the chance to talk to them before they're voted in and know what kind of work they are doing. So I'd love to see it go before the Water and Sewer Division to interview these people and accept the applications. Does anybody have any questions? No. Okay, thank you.
I couldn't agree more. This is going to get referred to Public Works as well, set for March 14th. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies. Any opponents regarding this matter? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side. This is going to get referred to Public Works for March 14th. Next.
Calendar item number 6, hearing called as ordered on a request to amend the revised ordinances of the City of Revere by the applicant Enterprise Rent-A-Car Company of Boston, 50 Tomahawk Drive, Boston, Mass., relative to automotive rental car facilities in the HB District.
Let's start off with proponents. Those in favor? Welcome. Name and address for the record.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the City Council, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, and Miller here on behalf of Enterprise. I'm the attorney for Enterprise. I don't know if that makes me a proponent. I'm certainly a proponent of the application, but I don't know if that was for the public or for myself. Okay. Have folks from Enterprise here with me today as well. Mr. Chair, this is going to go to the ZBA, to the zoning subcommittee. We are going to the planning board tomorrow night as well. Happy to go through some of the specifics of it tonight, or happy to go through it in more detail when we come back. I don't want to waste your time. Okay. Okay, all right, I'll be quick. I know you have a full agenda. So, Mr. Chair, we were in front of the City Council about 6 months ago for a similar application. Since then, we've made some changes to that application. we would suggest this is a different application. We've taken into consideration the comments that we got last time from the planning board. And those conditions have been included in our application, which is in front of the city council here tonight. So in summary, some of you were here in the council last time, so I'll go through the specifics pretty quickly. But Enterprise has been a long existing business at 55 American Legion Highway. They're looking to move to 85 Squire Road. They need to relocate the business because the landlord is developing the property and their lease is ending. 85 Squire Road, where they're looking to move to. This is formerly the Verizon Wireless retail store. It's right next to the barn wash. I may be saying it incorrectly, but that's where it's located on Squire Road. It's in a highway business district, and under the zoning ordinance, the way it's currently written, in a highway business district, an automotive, truck rental, office, and storage use, such as Enterprise, is just specifically not permitted. That means it's not allowed under the zoning ordinance. And so what we're proposing to do is to amend the zoning ordinance in order to allow the use by special permit only. So this isn't going from a red light to a green light, it's going from a red light to a yellow light, right? So there's that intermediary step, and what that means is there's still oversight by the city council, there's still oversight by the city, there's still oversight by the planning board. It's not going to an allowed use where this is going to be allowed anywhere in any highway business district. It's not a switch to the zoning ordinance specifically for this property. It's a request to allow it throughout the highway business districts as a whole in the city. There are specific conditions and restrictions that we agreed to with the planning board and we've included in our application. These things include a weight limit of 8,000 pounds. Before it was 10,500. And what that does is it will keep trucks, moving trucks, things of that nature from being rented out of the site. The vehicle capacity would only be up to 50 vehicles at one time on site. We also increased the minimum lot size. Before it was a half acre, now it has to be over a half acre. So again, making sure that there are specific conditions and restrictions on the special permit, which would then be in the zoning ordinance. So again, we're not saying it's not allowed now. We want it to be allowed no matter what. We're asking it to be allowed with the special permit with these conditions. There are some other conditions as well, including no maintenance, no body work. You have to provide substantive screening and buffering on the site, things of that nature. So we think that allowing this type of use in the highway business districts is reasonable and appropriate. It would fit in. This site specifically is on a very busy road. We're not making, specifically for our project, we wouldn't be making any changes to the building at all. And it would fit in with the character, and as I had mentioned previously, it's right next door to a car wash. Very similar use. We're just not washing the cars, we're renting the cars. I can go into more detail if you'd like. Again, we are going to the planning board tomorrow night, and we will be back in front of the city council for the zoning subcommittee at some point in the future if the planning board sees it fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents on this? Hearing and seeing none, let's close that side. Any opponents? Those against? Councilor Zambudo. Name and
Mr.
address.
President,
Name and address for the record.
Anthony Zambudo, 87 High Street, Revere. I didn't think I'd have to come up here for this. We voted on November 22nd unanimously as a city councilor against this. Now, we're told there's some changes, which there had to be a little bit of a change in order to come back, obviously. But there's essentially no change here. This is spot zoning. Not only is it spot zoning, it opens up that area. Right next to this site is Sozio's, which is a very big site. We had a reason for voting unanimously against this. We didn't think this was the right use for that area. We have restaurants there. There had been interest in the brew pub at that very site. I don't know where that is or where it isn't. It doesn't matter. I'm not even sure that Enterprise owns this site. So therefore, there's some question as to whether or not they can be applying for this zoning change, not owning it. But that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is we voted, 8 of my colleagues are still here that voted against this in November. And I don't believe anything has changed. And it was bad then, it's bad now. It's not the use we had envisioned for this site. And I would hope that none of my colleagues would change their opinion because they spoke pretty strongly with their opinions on November 22nd. I've reviewed the tapes, and everybody is on record as to why they're against it, and they had good reason. And I certainly had good reason, and I still do. And I think it's the wrong use. It's easy to say we're just doing this one site for a rental car place. That's not true. You give this to them, you got to give it to Sozio, you got to give it to Papagino, you got to give it everywhere, okay? And I don't consider a car wash the same use as a car rental company. You'll end up with what looks like Wonderland right now. You go by Wonderland, what do you see? Hundreds of cars parked there. Is that what we want for Squire Road? I don't think so. So I'd ask you, please, be consistent with this. However, I understand it's going to zoning, and I'll be back again to speak before you. But the bottom line is nothing's changed here. This was the wrong use November 22nd. It's the wrong use February 28th. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other opponents? Those against? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side. Councilors. Council Fiore. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Council Cogliandro, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. They are being essentially, they're not able to stay where they're at, Enterprise, and they've been trying to get this property that's been empty for quite a while. I know this is going to go to subcommittee, and I'll try to be brief here. Two things I want to bring to the table here. One is the amount of tax revenue we're going to generate from this company. It's roughly, correct me if I'm wrong, it's $100,000 a year, somewhere around $100,000 a year. Also, 89% of their rentals are local for repair shops, repair jobs. And I think it's definitely something that I would want to see stay in the city. Otherwise, I'm not sure where they're going to be able to go. You know, I was not a counselor during the last meeting. I was here, but I was not able to vote on this. So I guess my question would be, everyone keeps saying, this isn't my vision for this area. Well, what is? I would like to know, because I think this is a good company, and I would be for this. Thank you.
President. Council Fiore.
If I may, through you to the applicant, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Concern of mine is, and I understand there's $10 a car coming into the city, another 60 cents per car. Excise tax. Are we paying excise tax to these cars in Revere?
Mr. Fiore, if I may refer to the gentleman from Enterprise who can answer that, because
Sure.
I could give a stab at it, but I'll let Mr. Doug Valeri, he is the Group Operations Manager for Enterprise, he can answer that question.
So my understanding, I'm not the accountant, my understanding is we pay...
Name and address for the
My
record.
name's Doug Valeri, 298 Thompson Road, Webster, Mass.
Okay, thank you.
So we do pay excise tax to the cities and towns we do business in. So,
Well, I had a conversation with another attorney that was representing than us, and the information I was given was that all the excise tax was paid out of Chelsea.
I don't know if 100% is, to be honest with you, but we do pay our excise taxes to local cities and towns. So I can check with the accounting team.
Well, maybe if I could ask the other attorney. I mean, because this has been a long-standing gripe. I've been away for a while, but I remember Councilor Colella years ago pounding this issue, and we supported him on it. And my understanding in conversations that they may be paid in Chelsea. So I understand there's $100,000 or so dollars that we may lose in revenue, but I would imagine the excise taxes are enormous. So I think I would hope that that's some sort of, we can get some sort of an answer before you come before the council.
Absolutely.
We will look into that, Councilor Fiore, and we'll find that information more specifically, so when we come before the subcommittee, if we do, we can have that information.
Thank you.
Apologies for not having it tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to just state that the business that we do, we run at occupancy about 90%. So if we're not renting vehicles, we're not making money. We do not store vehicles on this lot. They come in, they get rented, they go out. That's the business. This is a retail site. So I know everybody was mentioning the McClellan Highway. It's not going to be anything like that at all. It's a retail site, the same that we run down the street today.
Thank you.
Counselor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the gentleman from Enterprise. Sir, if you could. Yeah, thank you. This will be short.
Yeah.
So, as you said that you do not house your vehicles there, where do you shuttle them from?
So they come into Chelsea. That's our big lot.
So that's where you actually pay your excise tax because they're housed in Chelsea.
Again, I don't know exactly what we pay.
That's what the law is.
I'm the real estate guy, so the accountants deal the excise tax.
Right,
I don't
and-
want to misspeak, but I can get answers to that.
No, oh, and I'm the city council guy, so I know the answer to it already. And the way that the rule works here in Revere is that if you house your car here, you have to pay excise tax here. So if you're putting your vehicle, if you're shuttling vehicles from Chelsea into Revere, then technically you're really not housing your vehicles here. You're only using it as a parking lot by virtue of its use. Number one. Number two, what I would suggest is that it had been brought up by another colleague, and I'll like to kind of say why I am against your project, as I was before, I will be again, is before no one thought that the car wash that was down towards St. Anthony's would ever be turned into anything. Well, today it's a hotel. And no one knows what that site could be if there was an assemblage with Sozio. It could be a bigger hotel. So the best use for that area is, for me, is not what you have in plan, sir. So I was a no then, I'm a hard no now. You are very, very kind people, and I respect you, but unfortunately, I cannot vote for this. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Councilor Rotundo, I would just say again that this process would not be to allow this site on the site or anywhere in the highway district. It would allow it by special permit. So you would be able to, if another applicant came to another site in the highway business district and said, we want to put a rental car, they'd have to abide by all these same conditions, and you again would be able to vote and say no.
I respect what you're saying. I understand your argument. My argument is very simple. I don't think it's the best use for the area. I think perhaps that in the future, maybe a restaurant and or a hotel would be a better use for that area. And I think, you're doing business, and it's my job to make sure that we get the highest and best use of the property that we have scarcely in our community. But I appreciate your kindness.
Thank you. Counselor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. With all respect to Councilor Cogliandro, and I use Enterprise all the time when I need it because the prices are very reasonable. I just think for Squire Road, I think bigger and better things are coming. I see 3 hotels on Squire Road. I see new restaurants coming in. I see a brewery coming in. I think it would be more usable for people that are staying in these hotels, and maybe a condominium down the line. But I just see a better use than, no offense, a car rental. So, and I know we're getting $100,000 a year for, revenue, but I think with, maybe a restaurant or a brewery, we'd probably get maybe almost the same price, so, rates. So with that, I voted no last time, and I have to vote no this time. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Counselor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I know this is going to go, I'm the zoning committee chair. Certainly, I use rent-a-cars, and I think that there is a spot for them, and I'm not, I was not in favor the last time, but I'm going to probably bring this up, and I know you're attorneys, so you might be able to help, I was under the impression, just going through our zoning bylaws, that, trying to change or adopt a certain zoning is required, it's initiated by the city council or the owner of the land, which you're neither. So that's just like, I'm going to get a ruling from our zoning chair, but also from our city solicitor, that it's strange to have, you don't own the land yet, you're trying to probably lease it, I would imagine, to come in and ask for a zoning change or some sort of zoning relief and really not be right now, currently not a stakeholder. So, I mean, I don't want to go down the path of all this. I don't think you want to go down the path of all this. I'm sure it's not free that you don't do this work. And then have us say, we can't even really act on this. If a city councilor initiated the zoning change, that would be one thing. Or if you owned the parcel, that would be another thing. But right now, it's neither. So I'm not quite sure where we even stand on this. Certainly send it to my committee. But before we act, I would be getting a ruling from Paul Capizzi or Frank Stringy. Thank you. Oh,
You want to respond?
If I could, Mr. Chair. Mr. Keith, the property owner signed the application as part of the process. Enterprise would be the lessee to rent it. They are the ones who are doing all the work because they're the ones who are leasing the property. So it's to their benefit to do all this work. The landlord owns the property. The landlord did sign the application. So we can certainly have the property owner here next time, but the property owner has authorized us to go forward on this.
yeah, I'm just looking at it as Enterprise as the applicant, so that's the reason.
We are the applicant, but I can double check with Attorney Capizzi, but the property owner has authorized us and signed the application as well, or co-signed.
So you'd be acting on their behalf, is what you said?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
and I do know Attorney Capizzi, I believe, has looked at this, as has the city clerk, and so that's how we've gotten to this point. Again, I can
Gotcha.
certainly clarify, but they are a co-petitioner, I would say.
Well, that would probably be reasonable enough, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the council? Oh, Councilor Silvestri.
Just real quick, so I know the main lot is in Chelsea, and I know that using that site to rent a pickup truck, so I'm guessing there would be no pickup trucks on Squire Road or any type of van rentals going out of that site, correct?
So the maximum was up to a pickup truck.
The maximum was 8,000 GVW, so gross weight. So it was 10,500 before, and we dropped it to 8,000. So
Does that constitute a pickup truck? I don't know how much a pickup truck weighs.
it's not a moving truck or a U-Haul type of truck or a moving van. It would be up to like an F-150. You could, not a heavy-duty dump truck or vehicle like that, yeah.
And just to clarify, is there a number of parking spots on that site that you are limited to? Is that?
So Councilor Silvestri, as part of the application, one of the conditions that we had agreed to with the planning board was to have a maximum of 50 vehicles on the site at any one time. But as Mr. Valeri said, the point is not to have that many. It's to have many less, because if they're on the site, they're not renting them out. But there is a maximum built in, again, that not only they would have to abide by, but anybody who came forward at any point in time in a highway business district could only have a maximum of 50 cars. So they could have a 3-acre site, it doesn't matter. In the highway business district, it'd have to be up to 50 cars. So I don't know what the vehicles are on this specific site, but we were looking at this, again, not trying to be specific to the site to allow it at this site, but more so in narrowing down who could actually operate in a highway business district. So we were kind of doing two things. One, to amend the zoning with the planning board in a certain way that obviously would allow them to be at the site, but also to protect the city from the future if anybody were to come after us to apply in this manner. So it's a long way of saying the short answer is 50.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Rizzo.
Mr. President, just very briefly, I know this is going to wind up going to zoning committee, and I think the chair of the zoning committee is going to get an opinion anyway, but just my concern, and former Councilor Zambuto used the terminology spot zoning. Quite honestly, I mean, obviously we can't spot zone, but I would probably be more inclined to support it if it was spot zoning. This is going to open it up to anywhere within that specific district. And I think the last thing we need is, I mean, not to say there's going to be this big rush on rental car agencies, but, now we've opened the door, and now we've got to entertain people that want to come in, and as Councilor Rotundo had said, there's highest and best use. This is a major artery with tens of thousands of vehicles coming through every day, and I think it's an attractive piece of property for the city and for some future developer down the road. So I'm willing to hear out the rest of the proposal and wait for it to go to committee, and, but those are my thoughts early on, just to let you know. Thank you.
Just very quickly, I think there might be, Mr. Chair, I know there's other things after us, and we can deal with this at the zoning subcommittee. This isn't spot zoning specifically. So spot zoning is illegal. You can't do it. Spot zoning is when you process and you single out a specific parcel of land different than anything else around it from the surrounding area to benefit the owner to the detriment of everybody else in the area. Think hundreds of acres of residential, and the city council says this specific property can be a strip club. That's different than what we're asking for, right? We're not asking to allow just this site
Through you,
to
Mr.
be.
President.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
Mr. President, if I could, you know, just in response to the gentleman, I've been working with zoning for 22 years now. I know exactly what spot zoning is and what it isn't. What I'm saying is, it would be preferable, while not legal, to have spot zoning. My point is, I don't want to open it up to an entire stretch to now open the door to other rental car agencies. I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear early on.
I just took it the wrong way.
Yeah,
I appreciate your clarification. Thank you.
Let me remind everybody, it is going to zoning, so we can have a further debate on this when it does go to zoning. So, thank you. Councilor Zambudo.
I can ask a question. There's been talk about where cars are registered and who's paying excise tax. Now, one of your competitors had a site where Thrifty was. It's now Hertz. They were using it as a park and ride, and the deal we ended up making with them to allow it, because park and rides were done as a accessory use to the property. We made them guarantee that they would register all their cars that were at the airport and rent some cars out of that site where Thrifty used to be. And that was $600,000 or $700,000 a year in revenue. Now, I've rented a lot of cars from Enterprise, and I have to say, it's a great company.
I'm gonna cut you short.
No, just
I
one
am.
sec,
You
just
got-
give me
you got-
one.
You got 30
I'm
seconds.
getting to a point
All
here.
right.
Mr. President, I'm getting to a point. The point is,
Through the chair.
I've rented a lot of cars from Enterprise, and none of them, zero, were registered in Massachusetts. Every single one was from Tennessee, was from,
Okay.
right at the site where you are now. I've rented several cars and pickup trucks and other stuff. Not one was registered in Massachusetts. So I dare say I'd want to audit Chelsea to see that that they're even being registered in Chelsea, but that still doesn't help Revere. End of
Thank you,
story.
Mr.
Thank you.
Zambudo. All right.
Thanks for the leeway,
Thank you.
Mr. President.
All right. This is going to get referred to zoning. Next motion.
Calendar item number 7, hearing called as ordered on the application of Broadway Capital CDPM Inc.,
Hey.
932 Broadway, Chelsea, Mass., requesting a
2-minute
special
recess, Mr.
permit
President.
from the Revere.
Let's break for a 2-minute recess. How's that? Thank you. Yeah, he's going to have to set up. All right. Back to the order of business. If we, can I have a motion to suspend rules?
Motion to suspend rules.
Okay. And take up motion. Calendar.
I'm sorry, calendar item 23.
Calendar item 23.
Calendar item number 23, motion presented by Councilor Keefe that the City Council discontinue the practice of requesting the Police Department to deliver the City Council packets. City Council packets are already provided digitally, and for any City Councilor wishing to receive a paper packet, they will be available for pickup during City Hall business hours on Friday.
Counselor.
Sure, I'll speak real.
Sorry for.
I was surprised that we took it out of order, but.
I did.
Okay. Well, ultimately, just, and again, we actually brought this up a few years back in regards to delivering packets. You know, we all get our packets delivered to us, which is, they're very nice. And I just felt like potentially not using the resources of the police department, or anyone for that matter, to deliver us the packets. I figured if the clerk puts together the packets on Thursday, there's ample time towards the afternoon on Thursday evening and/or Friday during regular business to pick them up, or Monday before the council meeting, rather than having them hand-delivered to us. I just felt like we could save some city resources that way, only because my good friend Councilor Serino, a few times in the snowstorms, has mentioned, hey, should we request that the police doesn't have to risk taking the ride to our homes to drop these packets off. That was kind of gave me the thoughts that, you know what, we received them digitally. They are nice. I do like having the paper copies in front of me, but we could always pick them up before the meeting, have any pertinent notes or anything sent to us as well. I didn't think it was really necessary to have them sent to us. But again, it's the will of the council. That's just my feeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Keefe. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I am against this motion. I understand the intent, but first of all, we're not wasting city resources. This has been a tradition of the city council, but it's not like as if one person is riding around on the choo-choo train or in a police cruiser delivering packages to the city council. They're patrolling the neighborhoods. So you have 11 different councilors. While they're patrolling the neighborhoods, they drop it off to the city councilors. Sometimes you'll get the package at 10 p.m. at night in the summer, or sometimes you'll get it at 3 p.m. in the day. So it's not going to save city resources. So I don't want any of the viewers to think, oh, well, the city council, they just make special deliveries to the city council. It doesn't work that way. While they're patrolling the areas, the police officer in that area will drop off the city council packet. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Serino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to commend Councilor Keefe for this motion. So when I got on 2 years ago, I had always heard the rumor that, you know, the police officers deliver the packets on the Friday nights before the meetings. And then lo and behold, it was true. And I understand in the last council session, we might have had a few older councilors who are not technologically savvy and who might not be able to, you know, read online. Well, and to the 75-year-old gentleman to my right. But I think in all seriousness, I agree with Councilor Keefe that city resources, I understand they might be in the neighborhood, but I don't know, I kind of feel, I don't feel right when a police officer is, you know, taking time out of their shift to bring me a paper packet that I've already read online because our clerk sends it out on Thursday night. They're delivered on Friday night. You know, to my counselors who might, you know, not want to come to City Hall to pick them up or might not have the time during the work week, I would say, you know, when I ran 2 years ago, I made one of the best purchases of my life. I bought, using committee funds, my committee purchased an industrial office printer that I use, and I would welcome printing out the packets for myself at my house. But I think it would be a good investment if perhaps you don't want to come to City Hall to pick them up, to you know, print them at home. And there's really, I don't see the issue with doing away with this antiquated tradition. I know when some councilors first started, Paul Revere himself probably delivered the packets to their houses. But I think we can move into the 21st century.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Sereno. Council Rizzo.
Thank you, Mr. President. With all due deference to the maker of the motion and my ward councilor, Councilor Sereno, I agree with Councilor Morabito. It's nice that these police officers, that in their particular sectors, will come by our houses. We'll have a chance to catch up with them. A lot of us, I don't know if if any of you have frequent contact with members of the police department, but sometimes it's the only time during the week that I have a conversation if I'm fortunate enough to be there when they're dropping off my package. And I think it's a good way to kind of talk to members of our law enforcement, to find out what's going on around the city. And, you can always, maybe we can make it a situation, if they want to opt out, they can opt out, and those of us that want to have them delivered, we'll get them delivered. Personally, I like the fact, I don't think it's a tradition. I don't look at this as a tradition. I think that, I think it's a practice. That
Point
the
of
city,
information, through you,
Let him finish.
traditional way of delivery. I apologize.
No, Counselor, that wasn't even aimed at you. I'm just saying, to me, I think it's a very, very good thing for us as elected officials of this community to keep in contact with law enforcement. Like I say, some of us, it's the only time during the week that we'll actually have a conversation. And again, to Councilor Morabito's point, to have these cruises in our neighborhoods, in our areas, I think it's a good thing. So I plan on voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Council Rizzo. Council Rotundo.
It's an interesting motion. There is some validity to it. I think I should pick you up so we can go over to Council Serenos to print out our packets. However, I am of the belief that having the police in the neighborhood are a good thing. Having them come from time to time is even better. There is a cost associated with printing these out. I believe at one time, Ashley Malik had actually, I think it was close to $1 million in paper product that we, in a full year period. No. In a full year period, we spent with, or something crazy like that. It was an exorbitant amount of money. Maybe it was $100,000, but nonetheless, it was a lot of money. Well, my no, it does exponential by 10. But that being said, there is a cost with it, and I believe it was $100,000, not $1 million. My mind is a little fatigued. But that said, I favor having it delivered, although I do it digitally myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, let's take a roll call. General, yeah, it is. Is the general consensus? Is it a general consensus? Roll call. Yes, roll call.
On the motion relative to the council packets, Councilor Cogliandro.
No.
No. Councilor Fiore.
No.
No. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
No?
No. Councilor Morabito.
No.
No. Councilor Novoselsky.
No.
No. Councilor Rizzo.
No?
No. Councilor Rotundo. No. Councilor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri.
No.
No. And Council President Visconti.
No.
No, the motion fails.
While we are on suspension of rules, if we can just take up item number 11 for, I think we have Ellie Baker here. Okay, all right.
Calendar item number 11, communication from the mayor relative to an amendment to a city council order authorizing appropriations pursuant to the park grant of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Honorable Council, Al Baker, Planning Department.
Welcome.
Thank you. So it's just an amendment to an existing resolution that had been passed last year. Upon closer review by the grantor, the park grant from Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs had asked for a revision in the language So basically, this is in regards to the park grant that was awarded to the city of Revere for the amount of $329,942 for the renovation of Gibson Park, Costa Park, Harmon Park, which are community-wide assets and improvements to the park. And this grant was to advance accessibility, equity, and inclusion of public spaces throughout the city. So basically, what the renovation would entail is replacement of playground mulch with board-in-place rubber. So it'd be very similar to Sunny Myers Park for all three locations at Gibson Park, Costa Park, and Harmon Park. The language that is amended is that the council would appropriate the entire amount for the project versus just the grant amount for the project. And once the entirety of the project is completed and paid out, we are then eligible for reimbursement from Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. Are there any
Great.
questions?
Any Council Fiore?
Yes.
Being the new kid on the block here, Gibson Park, I'm excited that, repairs and long overdue down there. But could you give us a thumbnail sketch as to some of the things that we can anticipate down there, just for the edification of the public and myself?
Yep, so there are two simultaneous projects happening at Gibson Park. So one is through the award of an MVP grant. That's for resiliency and recreation, and that entails subsurface stormwater storage. That's in the design and permitting phase right now. This is a separate project that would incorporate only the playground portion of Gibson Park as opposed to the field, which is being repurposed as a multi-purpose field. So this particular grant is just for the poured-in-place rubber to replace the mulch in the playground that was renovated, I want to say 3, maybe 4 years ago. So we'll replace the mulch with poured-in-place rubber, which makes it more accessible.
And the field, is it going to be grass or turf?
The field is in the design phase now, so that will be determined.
That'd be wonderful and get turf. Part of the two phases, this part of this was hinged upon the 291 apartments. We got stuff down our throats down there?
No,
Okay,
they're independent of that.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? No? Hearing and seeing none? Let's take it. Okay.
On the resolution, whereas Gibson Park, Costa Park, and Harmon Park are community-wide assets and improvements to the parks is a priority as to advance accessibility, equity, and inclusion in public spaces throughout the city. And whereas Gibson Park, Costa Park, and Harmon Park is dedicated to park and recreation purposes under MGL Chapter 45, Section 3, and whereas the renovation of the playground safety surfaces from playground mulch to poured-in-place rubber to accommodate individuals with mobility challenges provides enhanced accessibility, advancing the city's goals for equity and inclusion for all park users. Whereas the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs is offering reimbursable grants to cities and towns to support the preservation and restoration of urban parks through the Parkland Acquisitions and Renovations for Communities Grant Program. And whereas the Costa Park, Harmon Park, and Gibson Park renovation project will cost a total of $485,208, the amount of $329,942 will be reimbursed to the city in park grant funds. The council agrees to appropriate $485,208 for the project, and after the completion of the project, and the project is paid in full, the city will then be eligible for reimbursement of the park grant funds. Okay. Councilor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fiore. Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo. Yes. Councilor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, the resolution has been approved.
Thank you, councilors.
Since we're still on suspension of rules, and I'd like to take up item 27.
Calendar item number 27, motion presented by Councilor McKenna that the mayor request the parking director to issue 100 parking placards to the Director of Elder Affairs for use by the seniors attending the senior center for classes, luncheons, and special events. Providing placards to these seniors will allow them to enjoy all senior center activities without worry of receiving a parking violation or paying the meters in the Central Avenue municipal lot.
Counsel McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, I had 5 calls from seniors with concerns of mostly the same thing. We cannot park in the municipal lot going to our senior classes because we don't have placards and we'll get ticketed. Or I shouldn't have to pay for parking, whether it's 5 cents or $2. With the conversation of the Director of Parking and the Director of Elderly Affairs, we came up with a solution that we would give the seniors 100 placards. That's the membership going forward. So each senior that is attending senior classes, which people don't know, they think that seniors only go to the senior center for special events, for holidays, for lunches. But there are seniors that go every single day for daily lunches. They go to their classes, and they go to Mr. Rotundo. And they go to the senior classes, and they go to these special events. So, and they're all and I don't want them to be stressed out and worried. We should give our seniors whatever we can for, and not make them stressed out, not make them worried about ticketing or, oh, if I park here, I'm gonna get a ticket and I have to give the Director of Elderly Affairs my license plate number, and then I have to go get the placard and go back to the municipal parking lot and put the placard on the car. No. And especially during inclement weather. So I'm just asking, we've come up with this solution, and I think it's gonna work. And I wanna bring the Director of Parking, Zach Babbo, up here to talk a little bit about the placards, so you can see that the placards might work for these seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Name and address for the record, please.
Zach Bobo, Parking Director, City of
Welcome.
Revere, 281 Broadway.
Welcome.
I wanted to hand out to the council these permits that we have created for the senior center. This was the final draft. There was another, when I first came in August, originally for the senior center, for any major event, Deb Pesca or her representation, Bob Hass, would reach out to us and say, hey, there's a major event today for a field trip or vice versa. We would print them out, 50 to 75 passes, allow them to distribute to the different seniors that are going to be there. For a daily pass is something we didn't have. They have 9 spaces in the Central Ave lot, another 24 around their building. We had thought that was enough. We clearly want to take care of our seniors. My father's 85 years old. The senior community has a very soft spot in my heart. Anything I can do to help them. So to make it easier going forward, what we created was what I want to hand to Ashley now. Our original idea, the reasons why we requested license plates, I wanted to create individual passes for people frequenting the senior centers so they didn't have to worry about returning them and chasing them around. After talking with Ms. Pesca, it seems the best solution is to create these passes, number them 1 through 100. Deb will maintain them, and she still wants to collect them and hold on to them at the end of every outing. And that is the way we decided to move forward. Open to any questions.
Any questions from the council?
Yes.
Council,
As I was speaking to Councilor Sereno, and I do apologize, Councilor McKenna, one of my thoughts was that perhaps the seniors should park there for free, that it should be a senior parking area for free, which abuts the Sprague Street area. And I think that would probably be a better solution. There's about 100 spaces that are along the fence line there with the electrical company that forward out towards Sprague Street. That way you never have to worry about accounting for pieces of paper. Someone could duplicate that very easily, to be quite honest with you, and there's nothing that you could do to stop it. So the enforcement mechanism is invalid. So I guess the question is do we give our seniors who have given so much to us, as you said, is so dear to your heart, a free ride? And as Council McKenna said, whether it be 5 cents or $2, my point is they shouldn't be paying at all. And that would be my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Any, Council Fiore?
Briefly, I would like to say this is an area where I like to see government working together, the administration and the councilor, success, working together to come up with a solution. Personally, as you know, I would like to see no meters in that parking lot. I don't know if you wanted to weigh in on that, or...
That's not part of this motion right now.
Well,
so
I can ask you a question.
It has nothing to do with it.
I can ask a question. Do you have a position on that, or?
I do appreciate your question, Council Fiore, but for tonight,
I'd
I
rather
only
stick to
want to discuss the permits regarding the senior center. And I wanted to follow up with Mr. Rotundo, and exactly, we are afraid of them being copied. So before we go forward with this, we wanted to put the city seal, just like we have with our business permits that are used in that lot. We go into the clerk's office, we attach the city seal ourselves, my department laminates them, and then we're gonna give them back to Ms. Pesca as that.
I hate to give you, the bad news, but that can be also, forged as well.
Mr. President, just briefly, I want to, Zach, proud of you, you deflected that great.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Babel, any further questions for the council? Huh? Okay. Let's, on the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. Back to the regular order of business. Thank you.
Calendar item number 7, hearing called as ordered on the application of Broadway Capital CDPM Inc., 932 Broadway, Chelsea, Mass., requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council for the extension and alteration of a non-conforming structure and use to enable the appellant to convert a former nursing home to a 72-unit mixed-use development consisting of 71 residential units and 1 office at 133 Salem Street.
Proponents, those in favor. Welcome. Name and address for the record.
Mike Vanneau, Broadway Capital, 932 Broadway, Chelsea, Mass.
Peter Vanco, Vanco Studio Architects, 407 Dudley in Boston.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President and members of the City Council, for allowing us to present this evening. What we're here to present is an adaptive reuse of 133 Salem Street, the property currently known as West Revere Health Center. And essentially what we're proposing is to convert the usage from a nursing home, which I believe is I-2, to a mixed-use office space and residential usage. There'll be a total of what we're proposing of 72 units, and of the 72 units, we'll have all condominiums. So these are going to be owner-occupied condominiums, not rentals, not apartments. I want to be very clear on that because based on the feedback that we got from the neighborhood and also from some of the city council members, that's really important for this development to have the owner-occupied usage associated with this development. So with that, I'm not sure if you can see the presentation, but I'll kind of step through it. Here we are. So the location, we think, 133 Salem Street, which is in proximity to Route 1. It's also on the bus route. It's currently has 81 off-street parking spots. So the usage now, actually, West Revere Health Center has closed down the building at this point in time, so it's unoccupied. They're in the process. They do still own the building, but they're in the process of removing sort of the furniture and the belongings from the property now. Let me go through this. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit, Peter, about the design and get into the design of the building.
Yeah, gladly. Simply from a site planning standpoint, there's really no change to the building footprint, anything like that. We are specifically saying that we want to go up a single story. It's a 3-story building. We'd be going up to a 4th story. The intention is working with the existing building fabric. We want to utilize the existing masonry building. It's a high-quality building on the outside, in deep need of refresh, but it is a valuable building. We see that by going up is the right way to go. At the same time, you can see in this image in the lower left-hand corner, that's existing building. The other two images are proposed images. And the uppermost image, the large image in the center, that shows what we really would like this building to ultimately look like. It's a transition from what is kind of a harsh building from the street right now to a much more friendly residential structure, utilizing balconies, bringing some life to the building, taking off some elements that really are, there's some continuous balconies on the existing building. It's a long white element. We actually want to move that off, make the building a little more permeable. And that means we're cutting in some new openings to bring in light. By and large, we intend to work with the existing openings, just making them larger. From the street, it's a modern building. It's going to feel a lot more like a 21st century building. It's going to step into what modern buyers are looking for, condo buyers. We've actually done this before. We have a history. We did 932 Broadway, which was 35 units.
It was 33 units.
33 units, thank you for the correction. But successfully, very, very similar building typology. It's concrete plank building, and we have a lot of experience working with this. Aerial photo here, not a lot of change yet again to the site because we're really working with what's there. We're simply going up. Building has a basement, and we want to work with that. There's a lot of storage area. Right now, it's a kitchen. We're going to work with that for resident storage, on-site office, management, things of that nature, possibly some amenities. First floor floor plate is very simple. I won't bore you with it. Just double-loaded corridor. Predominantly ones and two beds. It's about 60% one beds, 40% two beds. And then all the floor plates would essentially be the same. We'd have four full floors of that same floor plate. Here are the elevations. We're working with existing brick masonry. We'd like to continue that typology upward. The gray elements that you see there are some kind of panel. It could be metal, could be a fiber cement board of some kind, something that would modernize it. In essence, we're capping out at about 42 feet, so we do have height violation there. That is really one of the only violations that we do get with this property, though. Yeah. Turn it back over to you.
Yeah, one other thing to add is we did host a neighborhood meeting, and for the most part, we got pretty good feedback. The major concern, of course, was traffic in that area. So that's something we are actually doing now, is conducting a traffic study, which we should have for the zoning subcommittee meeting. But there were others, maybe one other thing that was brought up was the parking. In fact, I think most of the residents wanted fewer parking spots because they were hoping that, to try to minimize the amount of traffic in that area as it stands. So that was some of the feedback. But again, we will have a traffic study done that we can present at the zoning subcommittee meeting. That's it.
Any other proponents of this hearing? Okay. Yes?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. My name is Jeffrey Bowen. I'm a real estate broker, and I'm a proponent for this property because Revere, frankly, has too many rentals, as we know. We need some home ownership opportunities and some more taxes and for a dilapidated building. I think, there's nothing surrounding it right now, and it's right off Route 1, and Revere needs more home ownership. So I'm for this project. So I'm a real estate broker. I hope to be working with Broadway Capital. I did sell 932 Broadway with them. It was a you know where that is? Everyone know where that is? Broadway, Stockton. There it is. Wow, that's wicked smart right there.
Name and address again for
Jeffrey Bowen, 950 Broadway, Chelsea, Massachusetts.
Okay, thank you.
So Broadway Capital has been doing this for 20 years. All the owners over there love it. You can look at that project at 932broadway.com if anyone's interested, and come see that property as we're closing the last 2 units out there. But it would be great to change that ugly building, frankly, to some homes. And thank you all very much.
Great. Any other proponents? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side. Any opponents? Those against? Name and address.
George Wolf, 109 Salem Street. I'm adjacent to this property. We're a very small townhouse complex of 26 units. It's a beautiful spot. I've lived there for 32 years, right on the marsh. It's a wonderful place. And I can't say that I'm an opponent to this building being developed, because it should be developed. What my objection is 72 units. We're a bigger piece of property that's well-maintained, and like I said, I've been there 32 years. To put that amount of units in that spot is going to be tough. I know, I'm glad to hear him doing the traffic study, because at the meeting that we had previous, they were just throwing numbers at us about .01, this and that, and then for the parking, they had this Field of Dreams scheme that they weren't going to expand their side. There's a side lot beside the building that's actually across the street. They were, that's part of their parking, but they weren't going to expand that because their theory was, if we build it, they will come. I didn't buy into that, because I remember when Overlook went in, there were going to be multiple entrances and exits, and that never happened. Salem Street is a mess already. It's at certain times of the day. Fortunately, I'm retired, so I can go off hours and I can get out fairly easy. But my other question or concern is the height of the building. At the community meeting that we had, they were mentioning that each unit is going to be have an individual heat pump compressor that were going to be placed on the roof. Now, I have a heat pump at my house, and I can hear the thing all the time. To put 71 of them on a roof is going to deafen people in the neighborhood, particularly the people in our development that live up at the top of the hill. I live down the back, so I'm sure I'm not going to hear it, but that, to me, is going to be an issue. The other thing is, and it wasn't mentioned at the community meeting, so I don't know what their plans are, but I can see trash as a major issue, because I'm sure they're not going to have 72 trash buckets out there. And I'm sure they're not going to have 72 recycle units. So they're going to have some sort of dumpster. And as we all know, rodents have been an issue in the city. So if they do have something like that, it would have to be in a closed, contained unit. Those would be my biggest objections, would be the traffic, the parking, and the noise from the units. I also had some concerns about when it was a nursing home, the clientele from the nursing home would gather up and kind of hang around at the front of our driveway, which was fine, because it was a little grassy spot and they had nowhere else to go. But when you have 71 units in there, you're a community, and you need a place for them to gather. a barbecue pit or something. They mentioned something about an in-ground swimming pool, which, you know, hey, God bless them if they can do it, but I don't see it happening. And they also mentioned access to the bike path, which is a wonderful thing that we have going through our city now, and I live directly on it. But as an adjacent owner, we don't want 71 units, families running through our place to get to the bike path. We're private property, well-maintained, well-landscaped, and it would be a bad situation for us. Those would be my major concerns. But again, I don't have any problem with that building being developed. I think it's a great thing that it is going to be developed. I just think that 72 units is way too many.
Thank you. Well, this is going to go into zoning. Any other opponents? People opposed? If we can.
Yes, Dennis
keep-
Cuomo.
Thank you. If we can keep this to about 3 minutes, because it is going to zoning.
I will, I'll be very quick.
Thank you.
Dennis Cuomo, 109 Salem Street. I'm from Williamsburg Square also, the complex abutting that. I had 3 small things. One was the parking and the traffic, which they've talked about. The issues and the numbers that they presented tonight were drastically different than the ones we got at the Sheraton, so I'm not sure which ones are correct now. So I'll let that one go. I'm worried about construction and construction noise. Our units are less than probably 40 feet, some of them away from where this building is. I'd like to know what their hours of construction are going to be, if they're going to be Saturdays, Sundays, or if they're looking for anything like that. That would be an issue. The other thing is not such a nice one, but it's sewerage. I've lived there over 30 years, and we've always had problems with sewerage and the pump house behind our unit. If the sewerage from these 71 units is going through the same issue there, it's going to cause problems with that sewerage. I know it is. And after they create these 71 condos and sell them and walk away, it's not going to be their problem, it's going to be your problem. So, thank you very much, councilors.
Any other opponents? Name and address for the record.
It's Jerry Halpin, 31 Waite Park.
Welcome.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at the first meeting, but I'm not exactly opposed to the building, but I think they should keep it lower. I also think the units, and again, going back to what he was saying, the sewage problem, because that pump house, I don't think it would actually be able to deal with another 71 buildings there, apartments there. There was a case a couple of years ago where the nursing home backed up the sewage, and some of it spilled in to some of the houses on Waite Park. So that would be a main concern, and also the noise level, pollution level, and the parking area. Again, I would think that, you know, like for 71 cars, it just, to me, doesn't seem that that would be right. And then if you have people visiting, then you have more cars going in there, and then that'll overspill down into our area too. So basically, it would be the actual parking and probably sewage, that area. And then if you're building up again, like the roof area where you have, like where you're going to have water towers, that type of thing, that would be, unless they're going to build up more than the heights they were saying. Because I live directly behind that. And then the noise of trucks coming, dump trucks, like I lived with that, and it's fairly noisy when they come down and try and collect. So they're the main reasons that I would be, you know, a little bit worried about it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other opponents? Name and address for the record, please.
Alicia James, I live at 35 Waite Park.
So I wasn't able to attend the previous neighborhood meeting, but I have similar concerns. Primarily, the previous use for this building inherently wouldn't increase the traffic flow, but if this becomes a 71-unit condo complex and people are going to be coming and going, and already at the commuting hours is terrible turning out of Waite Park. And then also the project summary mentions a shared terrace park area, and it looks like it will have a pool. So I just wanted to make sure that the team actually had taken steps to consider like potential nuisance to the current neighbors and how loud those shared spaces could get. And then similar to the concerns that she just raised, I'm concerned about the height of the building. My property, I have a swimming pool, and I'm concerned that there would be a shadow completely cast over the backyard.
Okay. Thank you. Any other opponents? Name and address.
Yes, my name is Margaret Cox, 108 Salem Street. I am against the building first, the height. The traffic, I live there, and just for me to get out from my driveway to the street, it can take me 30 minutes. The other problem is the water pressure, the sewer, and then the biggest problem I have had, I've reported. These people, when they come, when they have visitors, they'll need a place to park. Most of them will have dogs. I have a very big property, and I've had issues with people from the other building, Overlook, coming on my property, walking their dogs, leaving the poop on the street all the time. My neighbors, every weekend, we had to collect cups, booze, whatever people would throw, the cigarette and everything, that we cannot maintain the place. So to me, the biggest thing is the traffic. I would like to know what time will they do this? They're talking about the testing of the traffic. I've lived there for a while. The traffic is a nightmare coming in and going out every single day. So I don't think that is fair for us. We all live there harmoniously. And with the sewer problem we have when it rains, it's not a very good place. All the time you get accidents, car, whatever, back and forth. So to me, I would ask, like, make sure where will this 73 buildings, where will people park? The trash. So we love our neighborhood. It's a little place, but I have seen a lot of things. Like I said, I have had issues with people on my properties. People coming on my trees, they cut trees on my own property. So I'm against everything they're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other opponents? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side. We'll start with councilors. Councilor Rotundo.
Actually, I defer to the ward councilor
Oh,
first.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Rookie move, Mr. President.
I just, that one. That's all right. That's because Councilor Rotundo already interrupted and asked to be spoken. But that's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the residents for coming out tonight. I think we've heard some concerns that we should, really look into and consider. However, I'm just going to read my prepared remarks. So, as Mike said, this plan calls for the redevelopment of a nursing home into 71 condominium units with one office space. As some background, for nearly 40 years, a nursing home has existed on the site. Many will remember the Anmark Nursing Home was in business from the 80s until 2015. And when succeeding operators of the facility took over, they struggled to keep afloat, and the cost of the COVID-19 pandemic is what ultimately led to the closure of the facility as a nursing home. Since 2015, when Anmark sold the nursing home, the property, I would argue, has not really been kept up or updated, and there have been issues with the neighborhood whereby the nursing home's dumpster would be open and overflowing, and the parking lot parcel at the corner of Waite Park became a dumping ground where people would bring trash bags, couches, TVs. It's disgraceful. Since I became the ward councilor in 2020, I can't tell you how many times that I've had to call to request the parking lot be cleaned up. And to the lady who lives at 35 Waite Park, I think, is that the first house on the right when you're coming down Waite Park?
No, it's the third.
No?
It's the third house.
Oh, okay. All right, wrong house. There's a house directly abutting
27.
the nursing home that has an in-ground pool. And the first time I met Mike, I had actually discussed that and wanted to make sure that any addition, there was a shadow study done to make sure that the pools and the surrounding, and the houses surrounding wouldn't be impacted on that. The application before us tonight, I believe overall, is going to enhance the property at 133 Salem Street and the North Riviera neighborhood. I've long been apprehensive about sticking residential units where I believe they don't belong. However, this site is different and unique in that the building has been utilized as a residential setting for over 40 years. Although one could argue that the nursing home was a business, from my perspective, we're not taking a parcel that has been utilized for true commercial purposes and turning it into residential like we've done with other parcels in the city. Other than another nursing home or something like a rehab or a healthcare facility, which right now is an industry that is seeing staffing issues and likely would not be looking to open new facilities today, it's unrealistic to expect that someone would purchase this property for anything other than a residential use. And I'll be honest, when you read the application and you see 71 units, it's a shock. I was a bit concerned as well. But then when you realize before COVID-19 and before the COVID-19 restrictions for nursing homes, the bed count at the nursing home was 140 beds, meaning at its capacity, 140 people were living in that building. So population-wise, and I don't know, I'm not an expert with regard to sewage and all that, but that should definitely be looked at and try to mitigate that issue. But population-wise of people physically living in the building, it's not much of a change from what it was with the nursing home. It's also important to highlight and to codify, if we move forward with the special permit, that these units are going to be condominiums. When Michael contacted me, you can corroborate this, I was kind of a jerk, and I said, if you're presenting apartments, it's a non-starter, and I wouldn't move forward with a conversation. So it's very rare that a developer comes before our council to seek permission to redevelop an existing building into condominiums. Condominiums in which people will be able to invest in property in our city and own their units. Additionally, if I'm not mistaken, and Michael can correct me if I'm wrong, I think there is going to be a plan to offer a few of these as first-time home buyers program, which as a millennial elected official, I appreciate, because there are many people in my generation of Revere who cannot afford Revere homes. So this would provide an opportunity for someone like friends of mine to purchase something like that. Additionally, the proposal will bring nearly $287,000 into the Community Investment Trust Fund for the North Revere neighborhood, which could be used for enhancements like sidewalks and stuff like that we need up there. As I said before, population-wise, there will be little change to the amount of people that will be living in the building itself. But since this new population will be a bit more ambulatory and mobile, of course, my biggest concern from day one was the traffic. Salem Street, as we said, is very busy, as you've heard from the residents, so I would like to see the traffic study. I also would hope that if we do move forward, that the piece of the parking lot on the corner of Waite Park where it's grassy and whatnot, that be developed into parking spaces, because right now it's just a dumping ground for people. Just this week, I had to call you, Mike, to get the current owner to remove the trash. Further, I would request that through the redevelopment process, the developer hold regular meetings with the community so that we can continue these conversations and try to mitigate to the best of our ability. And, with regard to construction time, noise from construction and whatnot, and try to make sure we're not working on Saturdays and Sundays like at the Amazon facility at Showcase Cinema. So with that, I would like to continue this conversation, and I would ask that this be referred to the zoning subcommittee. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. The work that was done over on Broadway, which is 920, I believe, or was it 930, Broadway in Chelsea, is indicative of the product that I see you bringing here to Revere. Anybody can drive down Broadway in Revere and head into Chelsea as you go on the right-hand side. It used to be on Broadway Nursing Home. What they did there was spectacular. To reference back to a comment that Councilor Sereno had made as far as the shadowing regarding 27 Wade Park, looking at Google Earth, there is currently a shadow there presently, so there wouldn't be, as you can see, Councilor, so much of a right, so much of a difference. And as far as the shadowing for the house down at 35, it is totally out of the distance. That would be, in fact, there are trees that are higher in height by looking at the topographical map than your building. That said, I invite this, I will support this project. I believe that frankly, when you have 140 beds, that when you take a look at the historical data of Inmark Healthcare, which it was at one time, between 69 and 70% of those beds are occupied, and knowing what the staffing needs of that would be, the cars that would come and go did so at greater, frequency than would be if you were to own the home, knowing traffic studies. More importantly, the staffing needs there were greater than what you would have as occupants. And I think the fact that we're going to actually have people buy the property and live in the property instead of having people transient, it'll actually add to the community and, more importantly, make ownership a greater issue for me. So this works in my, my idea of what should be done here. So I do support your project. You will have my support, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. Michael, can I talk to you for a minute? Can you get up?
Let me remind everybody, it is going to zoning, but I understand. Go ahead.
Sorry. I know, sorry.
Right away.
Michael, in the past, we've had large-scale residential units go up, and we've had shadow studies. Is there any way that you could present these abutters with the shadow study to see if it's going to affect the woman on Waite Street's pool and budding properties? Please?
Yeah, we can present that at the zoning subcommittee meeting.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. To all parties involved, so I'm the zoning chair. So this will go from today, regardless of whatever happens, it's going to go in front of zoning, and we'll further discuss. So nothing will be approved this evening. In zoning, it could take many meetings. I just wanted to make sure you all knew that we take these into consideration when you come up here and you make statements. We don't just go okay and we ignore you. Great first statement was this property should be developed. It's going to be developed. It's up to us to help shape what the development looks like, and so it services the needs of the entire community. So I wanted to make sure you knew that I took notes. Dumpster, making sure that trash removal is something that is suitable to the neighborhood. Parking, always a huge concern. I think that that's something that needs to be further addressed. Traffic study, that's something that is being addressed. Shadow study, that's something that's going to be addressed. Sewage, obviously, I think we all know that there was currently 122 or 140 bed unit that was there, so the sewage level I hope it doesn't increase very much, but it's probably it's not going to go higher than it was, but the city's engineer is very good at these things, so I can tell you that he's going to put the screws to whoever comes in there and make sure that they have the adequate amount of water pressure and sewage that can service whatever goes into that property. And I can assure you, Nick Reichstrom's going to make sure of that. Anyone that's done any developments in the city knows that. And then just, obviously, we're going to weigh the pros and cons of the entire project. So if there are other points that you want to make sure that we address to the developers, feel free to shoot myself an email or anyone on the council. We want to make sure that we're addressing the concerns. And sometimes it's a 50-50. You win some, you lose some. So we all understand that we want to make the best project for everybody, but not everyone's going to walk away completely happy. So we're going to try and make it as close as possible as we can. That's our job.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Fiore.
Briefly, Mr. President, I do agree that something needs to go there. Too many units. We're listening to you. We hear you. We hear you. This is a long ways off. There's a process. but too many units. And, you know, I know you'd stated, one of the gentlemen had stated that, you know, 81 spots, 72 units, and the neighbors seem to be a little happy about that. Well, I haven't talked to any of the neighbors yet. I can't imagine that would be the case, because they're going to be parking on Wade Park. They're going to be parking, visitors are going to be parking on Stone Street. I mean, it's just, it's something we've seen over and over again. So I would ask you, I mean, how many one-bedrooms, how many two-bedrooms, how many three-bedrooms?
It's roughly 25 two-beds and the remainder one-beds and studios. So it's a combination of one-beds and studios.
You know, so I'm a new member of this council, but over the years, we've seen the same pitch over and over again. And I can appreciate that they're condos, because we really haven't developed any condos in this city. It's been all apartments. So I can appreciate that, but the numbers are gonna, you know, we're gonna have to work with the residents here. The numbers are too much for my liking, and I look forward to working on this in committee. I look forward to working with the residents in North Revere, who often feel like, you know, a left-out stepchild over the years. So I'm glad to see that they're up here, and it's nice to see some fresh faces.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cogliandro.
I just wanted clarification. I just want to make sure that I heard that you said there are currently 81 parking spots on the plan.
Yeah, as the plan, as it sits today.
As it sits today.
There is room for expansion at the parking lot across in Wade Park on the opposite side of where the building is. So there's potential room there to expand the number of parking spots.
Thank you.
Okay. If I may, how many more parking spots can be expanded on the other side? So how many in total?
I think between 10 and 20. I don't know, Peter, maybe you can talk more intelligently to that.
So there's a maximum of about 100 parking spots that can be created for this complex? I know it's going to go to zoning, and I'll leave my other remarks for the zoning, but just out of curiosity.
Indeed, I think maybe set the threshold a little lower at 90 or so.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to oversell it.
Great. Okay.
Mr. President, point of.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Quick.
30
seconds.
This is something that everybody might want to know.
I know, it's going.
This is some information that I've been given, having been in healthcare, knowing some people involved. Your competitor, my understanding for that building is to put a sober house there, is that correct?
That's what was said, yes.
Thank you. All right, great, thank you. All right. This is going to get referred to zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
Calendar
Personal
item-
privilege?
State your point, Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want everybody to know that if that was to be turned into a sober house, that they can put 4 persons per room. That's 4 times 140 beds. I want you to understand that.
Well,
you're going to triple your numbers. I want people to understand that that's the other side of this coin, and it's a very, very serious scenario. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Go ahead.
Calendar item number 8, hearing called as ordered on a petition submitted by National Grid to install underground electrical service from pole number 587 to the property located at 57 Shirley Avenue.
Proponents, those in favor?
Good evening, Mr. President. Jamie Russo, 1040 North Shore Road, Revere, along with Sterling Ortiz from National Grid. I'm going to let Sterling give a brief presentation. It's a pretty simple thing. I think it's more of a formality, but I'll let Sterling discuss it.
Thank you, Jamie. Good evening, councilors. My name is Sterling Ortiz. I work for National Grid Engineering Department, and I'm here today to petition my address, 170 Medford Street, Malden, petition for underground service, new electrical underground service for 57 Shirley Ave.
Okay. All right. Any other proponents? Name and address for the record.
Anthony Zambuto, 87 High Street. I'm certainly a proponent of this, and anything we can do to speed up these electrical connections. They always take much too long, and these buildings sit after they're built, and they've got no power. So,
thank you.
Whatever it takes. Thanks.
Any other proponents? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side. Any opponents? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side. City councilors.
Mr. President.
All right, Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, sir.
Birthday boy.
Thank you. Mr. President, this is right on Shirley Ave at the corner of Thornton Street. It's in my ward, and right now the building is under construction that this is going to feed. And what's happening is the telephone pole that they have to feed underground is about 20 feet from the property line to the pole.
About 45 feet.
Yeah, and the sidewalk is already destroyed anyways from the construction, so they're only, when they dig up that extra 20, 25 feet, they're gonna replace the sidewalk, new concrete sidewalk all the way around the building, so I have no objections to this. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll support this on one condition, that we put a plaque there that says, Jamie Russo. That said, I gotta be honest with you guys, seriously, all kidding aside. Jamie, and I'm not here to blow smoke up your, what you've done.
Thank you, Counselor. I appreciate that.
What you've done, what you've done for what you've done for Shirley Avenue, you've transformed the entire street. And, people take bobs at you and so forth and so on. And I'm one of your biggest supporters because I live in that area, and I think Ira will attest to it. You've done marvelous work down there. So I support this 100%.
I appreciate it, Counselor. We're revered guys. We can take the shots.
Any other councilors?
You're not an outside developer?
Okay.
That's what we asked.
Yes. On the motion.
Shall the City Council grant the petition of National Grid to install underground electrical service to 57 Shirley Avenue from pole number 587? Councilor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fiore.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keith.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo is absent. Councilor Rotundo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, the petition has been granted. Calendar item number 9, this is the Committee of the Whole report.
Oh, okay. Great. This evening, we had a committee of the whole meeting regarding the election, communication from the election commissioner regarding polling locations. I believe it's probably one of many meetings that are going to take place. The consensus from the councilors seem to be that there are some issues with polling location changes that seem to be the major concern, along with some better signage and better communication about these elections. So we're going to keep it in the Committee of the Whole, and once some of the questions that were asked have been answered, we're going to have the Election Commission again meet with the Committee of the Whole and see what has come about. So with that being said, that is our report. Thank you.
Calendar item number 10, communication from the mayor relative to the memorandum of agreement between the City of Revere and Firefighters Local 926.
Any proponents? Those, where is it? Where am I? Oh, okay. Okay. Any public comments? I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Kevin O'Hara, President Revere Firefighters Local 926, 400 Broadway.
Yeah.
This is the contract between the City of Revere and the Local 926. We've been out of contract since July 1st, 2021. We came to an agreement between both parties. We're hoping that it can get through tonight. Thank you.
Any questions from the council? Roll call? Roll call?
Shall the City Council approve an appropriation necessary to fund the memorandum of agreement between the City of Revere and firefighters Local 926 covering the period from July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024? Counselor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fiori.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Rizzo is absent. Counselor Rotundo. Yes, Counselor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, the appropriation has been approved. Council President, calendar items 12 through 20 are relative to appointments.
Yeah, they're going to be sent to appointments.
Calendar item number 21, motions. Motion presented by Councilor Sereno that the City Council adopt the attached resolution recognizing February as Black History Month.
Council Vice President. Can we read that into the record?
A resolution honoring Black History Month. Whereas in 1926, famed African-American historian and scholar Dr. Carter G. Woodson, son of former slaves, established Black History Week to celebrate accomplishments and achievements made by Black Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development as a nation. And whereas Dr. Carter G. Woodson valued education and believed that it was never too late to learn, and that it is beneficial for all Americans to continue to learn about the heritage and experiences of all Americans. And whereas it is through learning that we become enlightened and come to understand each other more clearly. And whereas in 1976, President Gerald R. Ford designated the entire month of February as Black History Month and urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area or endeavor throughout our history. And whereas Black History Month allows for discussions of our country's legacy of slavery and institutional and structural racism, now therefore be it resolved that the Revere City Council hereby recognizes Black History Month, and the council does so by honoring and applauding the contributions of Black residents to the common good of our community.
Any comments from the council? Okay. Roll call. Motion to approve. Roll call the members.
On the resolution, Councilor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fiori.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Rizzo is absent. Councilor Rotundo.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, the resolution has been adopted. Calendar item number 22, motion presented by Councilor Keefe that the City Council award certificates of merit to Donald Boudreau, Keith Correa, and Ladder 2, consisting of acting Captain Kevin O'Hara, firefighter Chuck Del Greco, and firefighter Brian Ciampoli for their life-saving efforts at a recent high school basketball game.
Mr. President.
Councilor Keefe.
Thank you. I'll save my comments for the night of the presentation. I think the community has probably by now heard what happened, but it was quite a team effort and very proud moment for our
Sure was.
city. Thank you.
Okay. Any other further questions? Okay. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 24, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo that the mayor request the DPW Water and Sewer Department to provide the public with how many water and sewer repairs have been made over the last 2 years. The purpose of this request is to demonstrate the great work this department has done.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion speaks for itself. If we could put it in committee, I'd like that to happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to put this in the Public Works Committee. Sound good?
Calendar item number 25, motion presented by Councilor Fiori that the mayor provide the city council with a list of city employees with take-home vehicles, along with each employee's job title, residential address, and copies of mileage logs.
Mr. President,
Councilor Fiore.
try to keep this as brief as possible because we're trying to get information so that we can be properly prepared going into the Ways and Means Committee. It's been brought to my attention that there are numerous city employees with take-home vehicles. I just would like to have some information to know to what extent this is going on. I can totally see that a police chief and a mayor and a fire chief and, you know, superintendent of public works and the water department, those people, you know, they should have cars, you know, certain people, but there are a number of others that I'm just not aware of, but I'm hearing. So I think, you know, with the cost of gas these days and in the interest of, what's that word they all like to use, their transparency, I believe that taxes continue to go up. I know this isn't a big issue financially, but it's an issue, and I believe that, you know, watch the pennies, the dollars take care of themselves, and I'll be putting forward a number of motions that we will act upon in the Ways and Means Committee, and it's easier to have this information in advance.
Okay. Any other questions from Councilor Rotundo?
Thank you. I actually support this. It's a very cheap process. In fact, looking online just now, I mean, $13 a month for one vehicle, and obviously if you're doing many vehicles, that would be an issue. The other thing is that it prevents the issue of people, you know, saying that they're at one place versus another. For example, ensuring that overtime is being appropriately managed and so forth. These things can be looked at accordingly, and I think that's a great thing. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions from the other councils? None? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to put this in Ways and Means.
Calendar item number 26, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo that the mayor request CFO Rich Viscay, Solicitor Paul Capizzi, Mr. Dakin from the School Building Program, Superintendent of Public Schools Dr. Kelly, and a representative from the company who can provide the comparative market analysis for possible real estate taking of Wonderland Dog Track to appear before the City Council for the purpose of discussing the comparative market analysis. Further, that the Superintendent of Public Schools provides student growth over the past 8 years system-wide.
I believe, Councilor Rotundo, and
Speaks for itself.
yes, I believe this communication, we're going to place this on file, if that's okay with you. Great, thank you. Place on file.
And one late motion presented by Councilors Serino and Visconti, that the City Council adopt the attached resolution affirming support for Ukrainian sovereignty, the people of Ukraine, and their right to self-determination.
Councilor Serino?
Madam Clerk, would you read the resolution? Thank you.
Affirming support for Ukrainian sovereignty, the people of Ukraine, and their right to self-determination. Whereas we, the undersigned members of the Revere City Council, recognize that Ukraine is a proud and honorable democratic nation under siege, and the brutality of this unnecessary and violent war is an affront to both international law and common decency. And whereas the following collapse of the Soviet Union, the Ukrainian people voted overwhelmingly to form a nation independent from Russia, building a democracy and a thriving country grounded in the rule of law, while choosing to live peacefully in an open and free society. And whereas the Russian Federation has launched an unjust and unwarranted invasion upon the peaceful nation of Ukraine. And whereas the Russian Federation is currently inflicting violence and terror upon millions of Ukrainian civilians and destroying homes, businesses, daycares, and other properties, while forcing hospitals to evacuate with vulnerable patients and average citizens, including children, to seek shelter deep underground in train stations for days on end. And whereas a threat to the sovereign borders of Ukraine is a threat to all Western democracies. And whereas our beloved city is home to many who have sought a better life in the United States of America due to unrest in other countries around the world, including many Eastern Europeans. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the undersigned members of the Revere City Council, stand in solidarity with the people of Ukraine in their fight against Russian oppression, aggression, and annexation. And be it further resolved that we also stand in support of our Ukrainian American friends and neighbors who are residents of the city of Revere and who might themselves have family and friends who remain in Ukraine during these uncertain times. And be it further resolved that the city clerk forward a copy of this resolution to the Embassy of Ukraine at 3350 M Street, Northwest in Washington, D.C., and be it further resolved that the city clerk forward a copy of this resolution to the city's federal delegation.
Council Serino?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief because I know we read the resolution into the record. But as the Ukrainian national anthem states, Ukraine's freedom has not yet perished, not has her glory. Upon us, fellow Ukrainians, fate shall smile once more, and we too shall rule in a free land of our own. We'll lay down our souls and our bodies to attain our freedom. I understand that as a city council across the world from where these events are currently taking place, and I know that we don't have the authority to do anything tangible that will ease this global situation. However, we can and we should use our voice and our platform to let our Ukrainian American residents know that we stand with them in solidarity, and that we, not only as councilors, but as Americans who believe in democracy and the right to live in a free society, and more importantly, as human beings, recognize that what's going on in the Ukraine is immoral and wrong. And on the same token, to show that average citizens and local leaders in the United States stand with the Ukrainian people, and that we admire them for their tenacity and for sticking to their convictions. So with that, I would ask that the council approve this resolution. Thank you.
Roll call?
On the resolution, Councilor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fiore.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Rizzo is absent. Councilor Rotundo.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Serino.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, the resolution has been adopted. No further business.
No further business? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I did ask to speak on that.
Oh, my apologies. Counselor, go ahead.
I would request that we ask our federal delegation to urge the Biden administration to amp up all offensive military weapons to them as possible. Ukraine, when they became a sovereign country, gave up their nuclear arsenal, which Putin is now rattling his sword with against the West. For us to stand there and do nothing is crazy. So if we could add into the record that we ask the federal delegation to increase offensive weapon systems to them, that would be grateful. Because this is a country who gave up their nuclear weapons for protection of the West.
I would accept that.
Okay. Motion to adjourn? Great, thank you.